Okay, we are recording. All right, this is Roger Roots. We are here at the Libertarian National Convention, New Orleans, 2018. I am here with Andy Jacobs, who is a candidate for at-large, member of the Libertarian National Committee. Andy also has a lot of experience with ballot access issues. He's been a professional signature gatherer, and he also has a lot of backroom knowledge about Libertarian Party history. How are you doing, Andy?
Okay.
You were talking earlier about the Freedom of Information Act request from the 1970s. Was it by Ed Clark?
Yeah, I'd heard that Ed Clark, who was Libertarian Party candidate for governor of California in 1978 and Libertarian Party candidate for president in 1980, did a Freedom of Information Act request on himself. And I believe this was in the early 1980s. And I have not seen the report, but I've heard about it from multiple sources in the party who I would consider to be reliable, who've been in the party for a long time. And apparently in the report, it came out that somebody who was at the very first Libertarian Party meeting in California in 1972 was a government plant. The name was redacted, so we don't know who it was, but apparently Ed Clark said that all the people that were at the meeting stayed active in the Libertarian Party for a long time after that.
And
so,
David Nolan was also at the meeting, right?
Well, this was in California, not the meeting in Colorado,
okay.
So I don't know if David Nolan was there or not. It was the Libertarian Party of California meeting.
Gotcha.
It was like when they were forming the state party. So this had been like early 1972. The meeting in Colorado was in David Nolan's living room in, I believe, Westminster, Colorado in December of 1971.
So this... what agency of the government did it say?
I don't know. I think it was FBI, but I'm not positive on that.
So from the very first days of the Libertarian Party in California, at least, there was undercover FBI
or Fed of some type.
That is truly amazing. What about any other information about other states?
Yeah, I've heard about 2 more Freedom of Information Acts that were done that revealed the same thing. One of them was done by somebody who was from Texas, and unfortunately I could not remember the person's name, but it was a libertarian from Texas who was on the LNC in the 1980s and I believe in the early 1990s. And this person did a FOIA request, and they said that there was a government plant at every LNC meeting that he went to, and also that it was redacted in the report.
And no one's ever found out who these individuals...
No, there's never been any follow-up investigation. I wish there was some way to, get a hold of these and then maybe, do some follow-up investigations, maybe request more FOIAs on everybody that was at the meeting and see if by process of elimination you could figure something out. But the other one that I've heard about was in Kentucky, and somebody in the Libertarian Party of Kentucky did a FOIA request on their state party, and this was done, I believe, in the 1990s, and they found the same thing, that there was a government plant attending LP of Kentucky state party meetings, and again it was redacted, so they don't know who it is. But there's other things that we do know, and that is that the like the Department of Homeland Security has admitted that they spy on liberty activists. They even said this in Arkansas, that there was a report issued by a fusion center, and they were asked if they were spying on American citizens, and they said, oh, we only spy on American citizens who are anti-government. And there were libertarian activists in Pennsylvania who it came out a few years ago were being spied on by the Department of Homeland Security. And in fact, one of them was somebody that I knew from a Ron Paul meetup group. This has been documented. Also, in I believe it was 2002, in Denver, Colorado, the ACLU did a Freedom of Information Act on the Denver Police Department, and it turned out that the Denver Police Department was keeping spy files on different activist groups. One of them was the Libertarian Party. So anybody watching this, go online and enter into a search engine, enter Denver Spy Files Libertarian Party, and that will come up in the search, that the police, so that was the Denver Police Department. So There's been other cases around the country of various groups, like peace groups, being spied on. It came out in Minnesota and in Washington. This was going back, I don't know, sometime within the last 10 years or so, that the government was sending plants into peace groups. And in fact, in Minnesota, it came out that there was a woman who'd become chair of the peace group who was an undercover FBI agent. And in the state of Washington, it came out that somebody who became chair of a peace group was undercover military.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then it's also been documented that the government was spying on and infiltrating Occupy Wall Street and also the Tea Party.
Oh, yeah.
So this has been going on for a while.
And of course, we know from the COINTELPRO papers and different subcommittee investigations of Congress, every time they look into it, they find that almost all alternative parties, third parties, seem to be of the focus of either FBI, CIA, intelligence, or other types of government agencies.
Yeah, here's another one. 1976, there was a guy named Peter Camejo who ran for president, and he was a leftist, socialist type, and he was also in 2000, or no, it was either 2000 or 2004. Actually, it was 2000, I believe. He was Ralph Nader's running mate for president. It might have been 2004. I can't remember exactly, but he ran as a running mate during one of Ralph Nader's presidential runs, and he was the VP. And then he also ran for governor of California as a Green Party candidate. And I believe that would have been around, it was either the 2003 recall or it might have been the election that was held after that. But he ran for governor of California as a Green Party candidate. And anyway, back in 1976, this was before the Green Party was around, there was some kind of leftist socialist type party, and Peter Camejo ran for president as their candidate. And it came out through a lawsuit that there were FBI plants on his campaign, and in fact, 1 out of 6 of his campaign staff were FBI plants. And when I say campaign staff, seriously, that means, like, how you have you'll have a state organizer, or you'll have a state assistant organizer,
mm-hmm.
and then you'll have your campaign staff that works in your campaign headquarters. Well, I think it said that something like he had maybe 100 people across the country who worked in some role in his campaign in those capacities, and 1 out of 6 of them were FBI plants.
Yeah.
And you can look this up online, do a search, Peter Camejo, Camejo, and look up information. There's articles about this online, and it's Peter Camejo, just do a search for it, you'll probably find it.
Yeah. So just to be quick, what's the takeaway? What can be done, or what's in the big picture, what does this mean?
Well, the big picture is that anybody who's opposing the political establishment is likely being spied on and sabotaged. And if you're involved in any kind of alternative politics, even within the Democrats and Republicans, I think there's stuff like this is going on. They try to get dirt on each other, so they can blackmail you. We want you to vote a certain way on a bill, and if you don't, we're going to release the pictures of you with the prostitute or something mm-hmm. like that. I mean, those type of things I'm sure are going on when we've all heard reports about that. And but what can be done about it? Well, I don't know. I don't know that there is a lot that can be done about it beyond. I think in terms of the Libertarian
budget cuts.
Yeah, in terms of the Libertarian Party, and this is probably going to sound controversial to some people, but I think that the last 3 Libertarian Party presidential nominations since 2008 have been basically hijacked. Like that they weren't really legitimate libertarians, that some people came into the party who didn't really have the best interest in liberty in their minds. And I don't think we've had anybody that I would call a libertarian on the presidential ticket since 2004 when Michael Badnarik ran. Now, why has this happened? Well, it's happened for a few reasons. Number one, the Libertarian Party is a weak party. and it's kind of ripe for outsiders to come in and hijack it.
And they idolize the big name outsiders. Bob Barr, who had a CIA background, was widely known and admitted, he even talked about it, that Bob Barr came into the party and became the presidential nominee in, 2008 or so?
Yeah, and he joined the party in December of 2006, and like within a day or so of joining the party, he got put on the LNC.
Yeah.
And I thought that was very fishy. Somebody had resigned from the LNC, and then boom, he joins the party and then immediately takes that spot. And it's like the guy had never been a Libertarian Party member before, and he didn't even have a background as a small L libertarian activist, and then boom, he goes straight to the LNC. I mean, I thought that was very suspicious. In addition to that, he was a drug war prosecutor, and he had his record in Congress. He voted for the drug war, and he also voted for the Patriot Act.
I believe he was the spearhead behind the Defense of Marriage Act, which is fundamentally anti-libertarian.
Yeah. So he was definitely not a libertarian, and he comes in and just automatically gets put on the LNC. And then when he ran for the presidential nomination, he didn't jump in until after all the state parties had their conventions. That way, and he only participated in one debate, and that was the main stage debate at the National Convention, where the candidates knew the questions in advance. Mm-hmm. And so there were 2 other debates held at that National Convention that were unofficial, and he did not participate in those debates. So he comes in, and he announced his campaign. What was it? Maybe 3 or 4 weeks, two to 4 weeks before the nomination. Same thing with Bill Weld.
Yep.
Bill Weld came in. Bill Weld is a member of the Council on Foreign Relations. For those of you who don't know what the Council on Foreign Relations is, it's one of these elite clubs that a lot of the big politicians and bankers and people in the mainstream media and other influential people belong to, and it has a great control over directing public policy in the government. And these people don't have the best interest of liberty in mind. And there's also there's the CFR, there's the Bilderberg Group, there's the Trilateral Commission, and then there's groups that get into more of the weird occult stuff like the Skull and Bones and the Bohemian Grove. But this stuff is all real. People say, oh, it's a conspiracy theory. It's a conspiracy theory. Well, it's not. There's conspiracy theory and there's conspiracy fact. So the CFR is a real group, and in fact, Hillary Clinton, there's a video of her on YouTube saying that she takes her, marching orders or something, or directions from the CFR. And there's another video of Dick Cheney on YouTube, and he says that he's been a member of the CFR for a long time, but when he was running for office in Wyoming, he never mentioned that to his constituents because he wanted to get, elected. Yeah. And so anyway, I never thought I would see the day when we would have an open CFR member in the Libertarian Party. And Bill Weld, at the
highest level.
Yeah, at the highest level. And Bill Weld was 9 months before the Libertarian Party National Convention. Bill Weld endorsed Jeb Bush for president. Okay, then when Jeb Bush got eliminated, so this would have been around February of 2016, this was 3 months before the National Convention, he endorsed John Kasich. Now, he never endorsed, you might say, well, he's a Republican, he's going to endorse another Republican. Well, guess what? 2008, he endorsed Barack Obama. And now he had also endorsed George W. Bush for president twice. He even worked as a fundraiser for George W. Bush, and he raised him like $100,000. That was in 2000 or 2004. And going back into the early 90s, 92, I guess it was, he endorsed George H.W. Bush for president. So this guy, he's never endorsed a libertarian. He never endorsed Ron Paul. He never endorsed Rand Paul. This guy's a total establishment shill. He's buddies with Clintons. He's buddies with Mitt Romney and the Bush family. This guy's not a libertarian. So why is this guy parading around at libertarian conventions, and why is anybody in the Libertarian Party taking this guy seriously?
Yeah. Well, all right, Andrew Jacobs. Good luck in your run for at-large LNC member.
Okay.
And that vote's going to come right up, and we thank you for taking the time to talk to us today.
All right, thanks.